Kanse, I'm Kristinashkate. Welcome to APTN National News. Thank you for joining us. Today marks 10 years since the final report from the Truth and Reconciliation Commission was released, marking it a day of reflection and renewed calls to tackle residential school denialism. APTN's TR Wheatley starts us off.
My name's Michelle Robinson. I use they, them.
They are the voice behind the Native Calgarian podcast. Robinson started taking up space in 2018 to educate her city, province, and beyond on the Truth and Reconciliation's 94 calls to action. December 15th marks 10 years to the day the TRC held its closing ceremonies in Ottawa. Robinson recalls a day in era, thinking of her grandmother who attended Sacred Heart Indian Residential School in Fort Providence.
Our survivors finally got a chance to be properly acknowledged. I was really grateful that my granny at the time was alive.
Robinson says she grew up in shame. It was later in their adult years that they began to understand the gravity of what people had to endure.
It's talking about the gravity of what has happened in the past and continues today because of the policies of the past. So for me, that was it's like my religion. It's my goal in life, is that am I honoring my ancestors every single day? And the 94 calls to action, as well as the 231 calls to justice that came from the TRC, like those are things that I can give to people as solutions.
On the weekend,
another solution that's coming to light came in the form of a resolution at this year's Assembly of First Nations annual gathering earlier this month. Chiefs left the event agreeing to press Canada to deal with Indian residential school denialism, including AFN Regional Chief of British Columbia, Terry TG.
I think it's really important that the government amend the criminal code to include denialism as part of hate speech. So that's really important, especially as we've seen the increase of denialism here in British Columbia and elsewhere.
TG says reflection is good, but action is needed.
It's always a good reminder after 10 years to do a check-in, if you will. I think it's always important to do a check-in every year, but this is a milestone, and it really demonstrates how far we've come, but also more importantly, how much further we need to go in terms of reconciliation.
To gauge how far Canada's come is Negon Sinclair, an Indigenous Studies professor at the University of Manitoba and the son of the late Chief Commissioner Murray Sinclair.
So about 14 of them are completed in whatever way you want to argue it. About 40 are underway, and then about 40 or so have no process, no action at all. That's a very frustrating experience. My father, during his final days, expressed a lot of frustration to me about that the process was going slow. But he and I both agreed that in 10 years, you saw more change than you had ever seen in the past 150.
As for the denialism that exists, Sinclair has a different theory.
Yes, of course, residential school denialism is a real thing, but I think it's by less people every day. I think there are more people wearing an orange shirt, taking action, doing an event on September 30th, for example, than we ever seen in history, approximately 15 million, according to the Ledger poll.
And while that may be true, Robinson prefers what the AFN chiefs are calling for.
To say Indian residential school denialism should be a hate crime, yes. Long list of many others, including fraud for pretend Indianism. Like there's so many things that we could be really charging people with.
Saying when that happens, we'll only force naysayers to get on board, or at the very least stay quiet or go to jail. TR Wheatley, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
2 Migma cabins at Hunter's Mountain in Unama'ki in Cape Breton were torched over the weekend. One cabin burnt to the ground while major damage occurred to the second cabin. But as APTN video journalist Angel Moore reports, Migma land protectors allege it is a hate crime.
An anonymous post on social media shows the kitchen cabin burning at the Migma Land Protectors Hunter's Mountain camp. Michelle Carmelina Bernard went to the camp the next day and posted the aftermath on her TikTok channel, Native Pride 2.0. Bernard is a land protector and grew up hunting on Hunter's Mountain. She alleges on TikTok the fire was set deliberately.
Last night, they kind of burnt our cabins down. This is where we stand in solidarity and fight for our trees because they're clear cutting.
RCMP are investigating the fire as suspicious.
Why do people hate so much? Like, this was a hate crime. Everybody knew this belonged to the natives.
The Migma land protectors had been living at Hunter's Mountain since last September. They've been preventing forest companies from accessing sites to clear cut. This video was posted by a Migma land protector who was on the scene after firefighters arrived. The department responded at 1:20 Saturday morning. Chris Gugu donated the 2 cabins to the Migma land protectors on behalf of the Mi'kmaq Rights Association.
I feel like it was a hate crime, but I don't really, I'm not mad or upset about it, because at the end of the day, they're just materialistic, and that's not enough to break our nation.
The cabins were vacant. The land protectors were in the process of shutting the camp down till next spring. The kitchen cabin was completely destroyed. The fire department extinguished a second fire inside the men's cabin, 100 feet from the kitchen's cabin.
Oh my God, all the memories we made in this cabin, all of us by that fire.
Gugu says the fire will not deter the Mi'kmaq from protecting their lands.
Regardless of cabins, they can easily be replaced in the spring, and we'll just come back bigger and stronger in the springtime and stop these corporations from raping our lands and resources.
RCMP is asking anyone with information to contact police or Nova Scotia Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-8477. Angel Moore, APTN National News, Jabutuk, also called Halifax.
The Federation of Sovereign Indigenous Nations is demanding answers. This after a video posted to social media over the weekend shows an Indigenous man laying face down in the snow outside Prince Albert's Victoria Hospital. APTN News spoke with the eyewitness. Here's an update and a warning. This video may be distressing to some. 2 videos posted to Facebook over the weekend show 2 incidents that look to be connected. The first one shows an Indigenous man laying face down in the snow while convulsing. Temperatures were in between -25 and -36 that night. The second video shows 3 security guards pushing the man in a wheelchair through the hospital parking lot as the man is screaming and saying he wants to go home. Courtney Daniels caught both incidents on camera last Thursday night as she was parking with her sister.
My sister kind of let me know, they're dragging someone out, and I was like, what? So by the time I had already looked, I turned to the left and I could see through the vehicle beside me, and I could see these 3 security guards pulling this guy. So automatically I thought, like, that didn't look right.
The Prince Albert Police Service says they are investigating the incident. They said on Thursday, December 11th, they received a report about a disturbance in the 2300 block of 10th Avenue West at around 10:50 p.m. When they arrived, they found an intoxicated male who was provided medical help. Police would only say the man was evicted from a property. In a statement, the Saskatchewan Health Authority said an individual who was disruptive in the emergency department waiting room was escorted from the building. Saskatchewan Health Authority is reviewing this situation with our security provider to ensure all proper processes were followed. Our goal is to always provide compassionate, appropriate support and to identify opportunities to strengthen our approach in the future. In a statement, the Federation of Sovereign Indigenous Nations allege inhumane and systemic racism from Victoria Hospital staff, including from the security staff who evicted the man from the property. FSIN Chief Bobby Cameron added, "It's another example that First Nation people and their lives are simply not valued equally in our healthcare system. This is not care, this is cruelty dressed in uniforms and policies. Racism kills. There are addictions in our communities. The way the security guards handled this incident was inhumane and cruel."
They need to treat everybody with equality. It doesn't matter the race that they come from. It doesn't matter. This could have been someone else other than my own race, and I would have done the same thing. It's about having love for everyone. You have to love what you're doing. Otherwise, you shouldn't be in that area.
The FSIN is demanding the immediate termination and investigation of the security personnel involved and is calling for accountability from the Saskatchewan Health Authority. The Parole Board of Canada has granted day parole for Braden Bushby, the man who was convicted of manslaughter in the death of Barbara Kentner, who died in Thunder Bay in 2017 after being hit with a trailer hitch. Bushby applied for full parole, however, he was denied and instead granted day parole for 6 months to a community-based residential facility when bed space becomes available. Bushby can leave the facility during the day but must return at nighttime for a 10 p.m. curfew. He cannot consume alcohol or drugs or enter into any drinking establishment. And Bushby cannot contact any of his previous victims' families or certain individuals. Last year, Bushby's day parole was suspended for several breaches of his conditions, which included alleged drinking and driving and allegations of theft and associating with people he was advised not to be with. The parole board also noted a Confederate flag was tattooed on Bushby's chest while on parole. And just last August, Bushby was also observed cutting a swastika into the institution's lawn. Bushby was sentenced to 8 years in prison in 2021 with time served. When we come back, we'll speak to one caregiver who wants Ottawa to assist those who help the most vulnerable. Stay with us. Welcome back. Family caregivers are unsung heroes who provide care and comfort to their loved ones, often putting the welfare of others before their own. Many caregivers provide that care not out of obligation, but for love and no pay. But advocates say caregivers across the country are in crisis, especially when it comes to finances, and they're calling on Ottawa to do something about it. Here's Sarah Connors with a special feature on one mother's fight to get caregivers the respect they deserve.
So, this is Selena.
It's a typical morning for Cowess's First Nation member, Georgette Asakin. The day starts with her brushing daughter Selena's hair, a ritual that's part of the daily care she provides.
She's the best person to wake up in the morning because she's always just, when she opens her eyes, it's always like, as soon as she sees me, it's this big smile like, oh my gosh, I was waiting to see you. Like, I've been waiting all night to see you. Smiling at him and just giggling.
Selena has Rett syndrome, a rare genetic disorder that affects the way the brain develops. At 24, she cannot talk, walk, eat, or go to the bathroom on her own. She requires round-the-clock care.
And we can't erase it, we can't escape it. But the thing that really helps me, ultimately, is just looking in her beautiful face.
But money is tight, and caring for Selena is a full-time job. Asakin says social workers pressured her to institutionalize Selena in the past, but she believes her daughter belongs at home where she is loved and properly cared for.
There's no way I'll ever let anyone take Selena away from me, but I do live with that fear. I live with that fear every day.
While Asakin says she was able to work when Selena was in school, she says finding employment has become nearly impossible since she graduated.
I can't because I can't be at two places at once. And then when I consider the amount of work that I do, the level of care, it's complex care. It's specialized care. I'll put her eye gazer on for you because I know.
Mother and daughter receive around $20,000 combined per year in social assistance. Asakin says it barely covers the basics, if that.
I should be able to have some kind of means to support us. Why does everything constantly have to be so incredibly hard?
A single mother who lives in Whitehorse, Asakin estimates she saved the Yukon government millions by caring for Selena at home. She says she's asked the territory if it would pay her for that care, but was told no due to concerns about abuse of the system. Asakin says she's barely able to hold her family's head above water.
Why are we still struggling? This is worthwhile work that deserves to be compensated fairly.
About half of caregivers have experienced financial distress.
This advocate says while some provinces offer paid caregiving programs, supports vary depending on jurisdiction, and for many caregivers, the financial burden of caregiving typically falls on caregivers themselves.
The situation out there is not great for caregivers right now.
Earlier this year, nonprofit organization the Canadian Centre for Caregiving Excellence released its national caregiving strategy. It calls for a major overhaul of Canada's caregiving system, including introducing a national paid caregiver program.
So we have a roadmap to make Canada the best place in the world to give and receive care.
According to findings in the strategy, Indigenous caregivers like Asakin face even greater hardships like poverty, generational trauma, and challenges navigating colonial systems.
It's really important to recognize the strength that many caregivers carry.
Those experiences are what drive Grant Bruno's work to transform the landscape for Indigenous caregivers in Canada. A member of the Samson Cree Nation who lives in Edmonton, Bruno is the father of 5 children, 2 of whom are autistic. He's spearheading the Indigenous Caregiving Collective with the Canadian Centre of Caregiving Excellence. The new initiative aims to support and connect Indigenous caregivers of neurodivergent children.
I recognize all the challenges that many of our families face, whether it's jurisdiction, it could be isolation, it could be feeling overwhelmed, it could be not being able to get the right supports and services for your families.
While the program is tailored for caregivers of children, its broader vision includes supporting and connecting caregivers and care recipients of all ages.
And so if you can find people who have the same experiences as you, who can connect with you and understand the challenges you're facing, can also provide very creative solutions too.
A spokesperson for the federal government says it's aware of the strain caregivers are facing. They noted several existing supports, like the non-refundable Canada Caregiver tax credit, but acknowledged none provide direct compensation. Asakin says those credits have done nothing for her family, as she's never made enough to owe on her income tax.
It's just a token. It's just a figment of our imagination that was put there, and we're told it's there, but who can touch it?
That's no surprise to Gennaro. He says despite 2 federal commitments to make the Canada Caregiver credit refundable, it hasn't happened yet.
Only about 9% of caregivers access it. And if, like most Canadians, you don't owe any money at the end of the fiscal year, it actually doesn't help you at all.
Yukon MP Brendan Hanley agrees more federal action is needed. He's met with Asakin and promises to advocate on her behalf so caregivers like her can get the support they need.
We certainly need to address the inadequacy of financial support for caregivers in general.
She's been wanting to go on a bus ride since we went to the market last week.
Despite the many challenges in Asakin's path, she has hope. She says recent meetings with federal and territorial officials, including Hanley, have been positive and left her feeling heard. The Indigenous Caregiving Collective also gives her encouragement. But until there's a future where caregivers are recognized for the work they do, Asakin says she'll keep pushing for herself and her daughter.
I'm her everything, and I would do it forever if it meant I had to. I would choose that every single day.
Sarah Connors, APTN National News, Whitehorse.
Thank you, Sarah. Weather and photo of the day is up next. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Time now for our photo of the day. It was a beautiful early morning scene here in Sioux Valley, Manitoba. A big thanks to Gina Francis for the photo and her awesome picture. Send us your photos to share at aptn.ca for the chance to be our next photo of the day. Time now for a look at tomorrow's weather forecast. Halifax 0, Charlottetown -5 and sunny. The Grand River -9, Nain -13. -6 in Quebec City, Gaspé -5. Peterborough -2, Toronto -2. -1 in Sudbury, Thunder Bay +2. -10 in Norway House, Puckatawagan -15. 1 in Gimli, Winnipeg 2. Saskatoon 0, 3 in Regina. Meadow Lake, clear skies in -13, La Ronge -14. +1 in Grand Prairie, Fort McMurray -20. 8 in Lethbridge, Edmonton -4. 6 in Kamloops, showers in Vancouver at 8. 5 in Prince Rupert, -20 in Dease Lake. -25 in Watson Lake, -40 in Dawson. -22 in Yellowknife, sunny in Wrigley at -31. -32 in Sax Harbor, Fort McPherson -20. -33 in Whale Cove, Baker Lake -36. And Igloolik -16, Arctic Bay -30. And our Christmas language segment is back again today. It's APTN National News version of the 12 Days of Christmas. Here's some teachings from the Haida Nation this holiday season, marking 6 APTN work days left until the holidays.
So Singlait La Skaskwansing Hanundi Kigaga. My Haida name is Skaskwansing and my English name is Shyla Cross. So my first word is happy, Gudingait La. Gudingait La, Gudingait La, which means happy. So like things like delicious food make me happy, and pretty Christmas lights and family time. So when I was young, when my grandparents were still alive, we would have big family dinners in their basements, and all my cousins and I would be there. My mom and her brothers would be there. My grandparents have a lot of grandkids, so there'd be a lot of us kind of around the same age. And we'd all be playing upstairs. My second word is family, Ya Kalang, Ya Kalang, Ya Kalang, which is also family. So there's a lot of family time around the holidays. Family is coming home from like maybe the city for the holidays. So I started learning the language, I guess, just like when I was born, like simple words for body parts and for food. Like, you know, there was certain foods that we didn't know the English word for. I learned a lot of language when I was in high school. I learned a lot of nouns. And then the third word is haulier, haulier, which is delicious. So lots of delicious food, delicious baking. All three of my words tied together. It's delicious. Haulier, haulier. Gudingait la salana singait klegan. That translates to Merry Christmas in Haida.
And that's your evening newscast for this Monday. APTN National News Daytime is back tomorrow midday. Please join us then. From all of us at APTN National News, hi miigwech masicho. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again. Exet.